Yo, what up everyone, it's your boy Numemo here, back with another video. Today, I want to show you guys how I record my own vocals. Recording vocals and kind of laying down some of my song ideas, it's something that I've been doing by myself in a home studio for a really long time, since I was 14 years old. So I kind of want to show you guys what in that time I've pretty much figured to be the best way to do it. I think a lot of times we focus a lot on EQing and compression settings, and we forget that the most important thing really is that performance and how you deliver that take. So I want to show you guys how I've dealt with that throughout the many years that I've been recording myself. Now, if what you are worried about is EQing and compression and all these types of special effects, lucky for you, I actually do have a video on that, so click right here. I'm actually gonna link it and you can check that out. I think both videos, this one and that one, are very important for you to watch before you ever even press the record button. That way you're aware of what exactly you need to know, what you need to do to get fire vocal recordings. So there we go, back to the tutorial. The process we're going to look at today is something called vocal comping. Vocal comping is when you record a whole bunch of different takes and pretty much you go through them and find which are the best pieces of each that you want to use for the final take that you're going to use for your song. What I want to do is I actually want to try recording some vocals myself and pretty much show you guys an example of how I would pick and choose what parts I want to use. I don't guarantee I'm going to have the best performance right now, but let's try it. That way you guys learn how more or less I do my recording process. Said I'm the coolest to do it. You might have already knew it. Cool, so there's actually a couple ways to do this. One thing that I forgot to say is that before you do any recording, you want to go into Logic Pro X, Advanced Tools, and you want to click this advanced editing option. After that, I want you guys to go to recording project settings, and click here where it says auto colorized takes. What that's going to do is that for every time you record a take, it's going to make it a different color. So what I just did right now was that I set up a loop segment here, which was pretty much 8 bars, and I recorded myself performing that 8-bar section 3 times, and for each of those 3 times we got a different take clip here. Now sometimes I don't always set up a loop. Sometimes there's parts that are very difficult to loop, so what I'll do is that I'll just stop, and I'll just record over that and do my takes like that. And this verse is actually a good example of that, because the way that the first line comes in on this verse overlaps my last line of that 8th bar. So I would actually have to start over to lay proper takes of that first bar, which I'm gonna do now. So I'm gonna do 2 or 3 takes of it again, so we can have more to work with. Watch. I'm gonna stop again, take number 5. So here we have our takes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. As you notice, each take is being shown in a different color. That way it's easy to identify which are your favorites or whatever. One thing that I like to do is when I start out, I wanna listen to all of my different takes and pretty much pick whichever one is my favorite. So for example, let's say that after I've listened to all my takes, I decide that take number 5 is my favorite. Foolish to do it, you might have already knew it, might give you way too much credit. No way you dudes are so clueless. I'm a Rubik's and you dudes just squares. Cool. They jacked all of their flows, easy to tell that it's not theirs. Heard all of your raps, honestly, they all lacking. So let's say, for example, that within these takes, I really like take 5, but mostly I like it because of that end part here. So mostly I like it because of what's going on over here. What I can do is that, let's say I like the intro section on take 4 better. What I can do is I can highlight here take 4, and it'll set my vocal comp to play the beginning from take 4 and the rest from take 5. So I hope you're getting an idea of more or less what we're doing here. And that same thought process can be applied pretty much to any part of the vocal. So let's say there's just one line or maybe even one word that you really like how you said it on one take. You can highlight over it.
Like photos with no caption.
So let's say I like caption from take 2. I highlight caption from take 2. And
with no caption, never been a fan of it.
It'll use caption. It'll use the word caption from take 2. One thing to keep in mind when doing vocal comping is that for every time that we perform our vocal, we're gonna have a slight change in our tone. When you're using different parts of your take, you want to make sure that you can't hear too much of a drastic change in tone from one take to the other. And sometimes, for example, if you perform one take with a lot of energy and you perform a second take with a little less energy, you will hear the difference in tone from one take to the other. Now, sometimes this is something that we can repair here. One of the things that I like to do in order to avoid that is I like to play with where I bring in the other take. And if you use this positioning tool here, you can make it so that it pretty much starts wherever you want. So let's say
never really liked them like photos with no caption.
That's a pretty good example of a bad transition. So here you hear on take 5 I sound really excited, and on take 2 I sound a little more calm.
Never really liked them like photos with no caption.
It's very easy to tell that there was some kind of chop there, that there was a punch in, there was a change in takes there. And so that's something that we want to avoid. So usually what we'll do is we'll play with this back and forth here and try to find the best place to start. So let's see over here.
Never really liked them like photos with no cap.
Let's start over here. That was bad too.
Like them like photos with no caption. Never been a fan of it, all your raps, honestly, they all lacking. Never really liked them like photos with no caption. Never been a fan of attention without action.
And that, I think, works way better. So that's something that you want to play with, more or less. Where exactly do you want to have that other take come in, so that way it still sounds natural? You don't want it to sound like there was a punch in. You don't want it to sound like you are actually messing with different takes. You want it to sound like one natural, smooth take. So this is the way that I record myself. I record a bunch of different takes, and then I kind of pick and choose which are the parts that I like the most. Like I said, I think that this part of the process is very essential. It's very important if you want to have a good sounding vocal on your song. Above EQing, above compression, above any effects, you want to make sure that the fundamental to your track is perfect. It's good. It's the best you can do. So be patient with the recording process. Make sure you get the right takes. Make sure you get that final, make sure that you get that lead vocal sounding good, and you're good to go. After you're done with comping all of your vocal, you can go you can close it up here. I usually like to create another track, duplicate it. You can duplicate by holding Option and sliding it down. We're gonna press where it's the letter here where it says B, and I'm gonna put flatten and merge, and then it makes it all one track.
Is to do it, you might have already knew it with like.
You want to mute the other one, obviously. But yeah, and then once you have that, you can start adding all your effects and messing with it. Do what you have to do. And yeah, I hope you guys found that helpful. Give the video a thumbs up if you learned something new today. Drop a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay updated with all my work. Always remember, create with what you have. You don't need much. Peace out and much love.
Is to do it, you might have already knew it. Might give you way too much credit. You got that kind of vibe that I just can't support. Why torture our souls when we can let it go? They said that you would never make it close to where